Ben.
Peter.
How are you, man?
Very good. I'm a bit concerned because Chucky was on the table a moment ago and now he's up there and I didn't see anyone move him. So,
Well, I don't feel like I should tell this story again, should I? Fuck off, Danny. I don't feel like I should tell this story. Oh, there's multiple things going on. Me and Danny have just made a bet.
yeah.
0.1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That I can't give up vaping. I've got till the end of the year.
I'm
going to start vaping just to...
That is such a piss take.
Can I get on the bet as well?
Yeah?
Really?
Yeah, what do you want?
Oh, no, you can't make it too much because then he'll do it.
0.1.
I'll take up another 0.1 Bitcoin.
Oh, fuck. Ben, you're undermining me.
Right,
no, we're all going to profit from this.
This is for the future of what Bitcoin did.
We can make a website and any audience member could.
You don't know how weak I am with this.
Yeah.
Dan does. That's why he's taking the bet.
Well, I'm an ex-smoker, so yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah, I did 8 hours the other day, and then I went into the shop to get gum. And when I was getting gum, they had the full vape counter. I was like, oh, bollocks.
Yeah.
I'll get one more. I told the story the other day. I'm just going to do the very quick version because I told it to Anita. It's really weird. I bought that as a present for my daughter. After she loves horror films.
Yeah.
I bought that as a toy in America. And the weirdest thing's going to happen. If you know Child's Play, you'll get this. So when I bought him, he says 2 things. We've had him for 3 months. About a week ago, he started saying new things.
Oh, jeez.
I swear to you. He said he's got like 8 new things he says, which completely freaks me out because that's Chucky, right?
Yeah. Maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they have it in the programming.
That's what I want to find out.
Yeah, I think
because
they probably do, because that's very clever if they do.
If they do, that is brilliant. But no, we had him out the other day and we're like, well, he hasn't said that before. And we're going through and he's learned like 8 new things. So,
Keep an eye on him.
Anyway, good to see you again, man.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you for coming to Bedford.
No, thank you for having me. Lovely. Beautiful place.
It's a lovely...
Congrats on the move as well.
Thank you. It's nice to actually be able to run the show here for a while, not always go to America. And it's, I feel like I don't know if it's what it is, but I feel like either there is a bit of a build-up of Bitcoiners in the UK, or by doing the show here, I've recognized there's more of a scene than I realized. And I now feel a bit of a duty actually to help support it.
Yeah.
I've supported enough of the Americans now. I feel like we should be doing more here.
And Europe as well. Like well, we're having Anita on soon, but the German Bitcoin scene is incredible. And you just need to look at the node map to see how many Bitcoin nodes are running in Germany. It's got the highest concentration, I think, and it beats the US quite a lot of times for people running nodes. So yeah, no, Europe's got a great scene, great Bitcoin scene. And I think in the UK as well, I think I might have said this on your last show, that we had kind of a positive news cycle for Bitcoin quite early on, whereas in the US they had, this is drug dealer money. We had some BBC tech correspondent saying, oh, there's this new thing called Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And speaking quite positively about it, well, not negatively at least. So I think people have been aware. And, of course, we've had some people who've been involved in Bitcoin very early on, someone like Adam Back. Was he in Kent University when the Bitcoin thing was kicking off? I think it was Kent University. Cypherpunking away in his free time, But yeah, no, we have a good tradition with Bitcoin in the UK. Meetups, we have a big meetup in Cardiff, actually.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
When is it?
It's, I think it's like the first Monday or something of the month or something.
When's the next one?
I need to make sure that...
Send me an invite. I'll try and get down to it.
Oh, dude, do. Because we have a good turnout. And they also organise the Bitcoin retreat as well, the camp event in West Wales, which is getting really popular.
I wonder if that's that guy I met. I met some Welsh guy, some Bitcoin. I wonder if he's involved.
Probably.
But yeah, let me know. I mean, look, you've come down here, so only right I should go back.
Yeah, we'll do. That'd be great.
There's a guy who runs a meetup who was the guy we met?
The Avon Valley guy?
No, Leamington Spa.
Oh, right, yeah.
He said, I ran a meetup and he said, the first one I did, I had 1. but then he had more and it's growing.
Yeah.
We just had our first one at the football club, which was incredible. We had, we've obviously got people coming to a game. They know it's about the club's about a little bit about Bitcoin. So, we got to leverage that. But we had over 60 for the first one. And I would say probably about 30 of them were Bitcoiners. And they came and learned a little bit about football. And the rest were football people who came to learn about Bitcoin. And there was this really nice mix of people in the room when Connor Okus ran the session. And brilliant. He's so brilliant. And he would put questions out and you would see the discussion as the audience responds between them. So you'd have, maybe somebody who's not exposed to Bitcoin ask a question and then somebody in the crowd would answer. And it was this really nice mix. So we're going to do one a month at a home game and just see how big we can grow that.
I've got infinite respect for people who organize meetups. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
And often they don't get enough credit for the great work they do. I mean, Bitcoin wouldn't be anywhere if it weren't for its meetups. Like a lot of the best things came out of meetups.
Well, I definitely want to help support the UK scene if I can.
Yeah.
I think there's, we can't let the Americans have all the fun. So last time we met, you briefly talked about LNbits. And before we get into the meat of today, but I think it'd be good to tell a little bit more, tell the audience about it, what you're working on, because some pretty cool stuff. I know Danny's a massive fan as well.
Yeah, it's very relevant to the topics which we're going to be covering today. So we're covering Bitcoin is looking at, partly I think what we're going to cover is Bitcoin is looking at areas which historically have kind of been blacklisted. So something like custodianship. What are better forms of custodianship and can we make good solutions for people to be able to run themselves? And with LNbits, like one of the original concepts, it came out of a bunch of concepts and problems which we were having with Lightning at the time and paying in Bitcoin on Lightning. And one of them was that if you decentralize custodianship, if you make being a custodian very, very easy, it kind of makes mockery of laws restricting people from being custodians. If you've just got a few big operators, they're kind of points of failure which can be attacked by government, whatever, with regulations. And I think you see that with technology, if you make things easier to run, more people are going to collectively challenge those regulations and those rules. And with Lightning, for example, and Lightning solutions, quite often an Uncle Jim model where you have maybe a family member running a node, keeping channels, balancing channels, and then people in the family, being able to use that node for their Bitcoin payment services. That's a nice model rather than everyone in the family having their own node. So with LNbits, there was that concept of making it really easy to run like an open node or an LNpay, which are both fantastic, great services. And a big shout out to both of them because they were massively inspirational to LNbits starting. So there was that. And then there was some real world stumbling blocks where I would, if I was developing something like a point of sale, I was playing around with hardware at the time, with microcontrollers and things, trying to make, Lightning points of sale. I'd have to make 6 different versions. I need to make a C Lightning version, a LND version, an Eclair version, an LNpay version, an OpenOver. They've all got their own different APIs. So what I needed was something which could sit on any funding source, and it would just have a standard API. So I could just develop, if I had that piece of software, I could just then develop for that API, and then that piece of software could communicate with whatever's underneath it. I wouldn't have to keep having all these different versions of my projects. So there was that. The other one was I'd made an ATM at the time, and all those funding source solutions, it was hard. Well, it was near impossible, apart from maybe LND Hub, to have multiple accounts. So if you had a Lightning node, you had one account, one admin macaroon. If you had open node, you had one admin key. And if I've got my ATM and it's got the ability to spend funds to pay people, then if someone breaks into it, they can get my admin keys and they can take all my funds. So I wanted the ability to easily make lots of wallets as well, for it to be trivial. And each wallet has its own API keys. So these are developing for real world issues I was having when I was trying to develop. I think that's probably the best way to kind of build things, because then it's, there's other people like you out there in the world. And there was. And that's what attracted a lot of them. Because I'm not a developer, and I think, I develop, but I'm not I was a teacher and I was kind of learning while I was building this thing. But thank goodness the project attracted all this incredible talent into it. And as a free and open source project, they were contributing. And quite quickly, we were able to build a piece of software which was very functional. The other thing we wanted was the ability to have extensions. So if you imagine your Lightning node, LNbits, one of the good ways of describing it is kind of like a WordPress for your node. Depending on what you are and what you're using your node for, you have different requirements and different needs. So if you're a content creator, then you might want some extensions for helping you create content, like putting QR codes in video streams or whatever. Whereas if you're a shop, then you might want a point of sale, or you might want an online shop or online integrations. So you have these different extensions and you can build out your node in any direction which is relevant to you. And there were lots of us, we were building cool, little Lightning software projects. So there's a guy at one of the Lightning conferences, and he made for the hackathon, he made a jukebox piece of software which was using Spotify's API. So you could connect to a page, and then it would list some songs from a playlist he selected, and then you could pick a song and then pay, and then it would play on a device connected to that Spotify. So you had like a cool jukebox thing, which you could pay Lightning payments for. A great project, but in order to run it, you would have to go to his repo. You would have to download and run his software in whichever way he's doing that. So that's the sort of thing which is now that's an extension on LNbits. Got in contact with him, and he's fully accredited in there for having the idea originally. But as an extension in LNbits, it's easier then for more people to have access to it. So LNbits, to install it, you can install it from the repo. But for a lot of people, they run like a Raspberry Blitz or a MyNode or a Umbrel. And on those systems, it's just a one-click install, and then you get access to all that functionality. So it kind of makes that software available to more people easier. So the extension thing was also very important. And then it's benefited me. Like I built a piece of software, started a piece of software, which I wanted to be able to use, and now I'm using it for more and more with my hardware stuff. So I have some hardware stuff here for you, which I was going to give you.
Oh, wow. This is exciting. I love it when people bring gifts.
Yeah. So here is.
Is this a bomb?
Here's a bomb. Yeah, which you have to smuggle through customs. So in the UK, we have pretty archaic ATM laws, Bitcoin ATM laws. So the idea is if you have an ATM in your cafe or bar, can you make it cheap enough that if someone comes in and takes it from you, you can just deny all association to it and say, yeah, whatever, take it, it's not mine. And then so this is like 60 quid or something to make, and it's very reliable and works really quite well.
Hold on, this is an ATM.
Yeah, Lightning ATM. So you can put coins in, and then it will just display a LNURL withdraw. The actual project itself. You can also include a bill acceptor. There's a great British company actually called Innovative Technologies, and they make this amazing bill acceptor. And if you plug, because originally with these projects, we had lots of wires and soldering and things like that. But now we're like focusing on so the microcontroller I'm using is an ESP32, but it's got a built-in screen. So now the screen has the microcontroller and everything built into it. And that's like a 15, 20 quid device. And then we can just wire up the coin mech inside.
Are you selling these?
We are actually with LNbits. We are going to have a shop where we can sell some of this stuff. But really, I mean, it's DIY. You can build it yourself. No, this is like Lego. Honestly, look at it. It's just a couple of jumper cables. This box, you can cut this.
Does this work now? Can we like literally?
No, this is the thing. The wires, actually, some of the wires popped out. So I have got something working though. So the idea was, can we have as an onboarding thing? Can we have an ATM, a point of sale, and a hardware wallet, all DIY, which you can build yourself or someone else could build for you. And then can we have those for like 100 quid for the lot? And this is that. So this is like 20 quid. It's like 60 quid. Or it's under 100 quid. So this is like 8 quid, this hardware wallet. This uses the same microcontroller as the POS. But they're all ESP32 based microcontrollers. So
what does that mean?
With so if you think about like a Raspberry Pi, that's like a crap computer, right? Yeah. And quite often people try and program on it, but it's a crap computer. And like, do you need a crap computer? Whereas often what they want to do, they could use with a microcontroller for. And a microcontroller just compiles like, a small script. It doesn't have a whole operating system like a Raspberry Pi would. So it's much more sort of specific, and there's less of an attack vector. But what's cool, so the POS, this is
Can I use that at my football club?
Yes, you could. And you know what's great about it? It's completely offline. So you don't need to connect to anything. So I'm not connected to your Wi-Fi. So I could turn him on, right? And if I select the POS option, which is that first one there, and then it's in GBP because it's offline. So
yeah, but that's what I would want anyway.
It's easier for the people in the bar. So if I put in like a penny there, and if I press the little hashtag thing, I get my little QR code. And then, do you want to see? Have you got a wallet? Do you want to pay it?
Yeah. It's funny. I've actually.
This is like $15, $20 to make. And a lot of people run workshops. Actually, right now, as we speak, Staticus, the guy who came up with the Raspberry Bolt, the first kind of Raspberry Pi Lightning node, he's doing a workshop for this in Frankfurt, I think.
So what wallet will this go to?
So scan that. Have you got like it's an LNURL Pay, so you need like...
Can I use Moon?
Oh, Moon's tricky with LNURLs. I wouldn't use Moon for LNURLs. This is the only problem with. Well, try it because they may have had an update for LNURL Pay.
Just receive Bitcoin or go back to send.
Yeah, use another wallet. Maybe try
I think it's the only one
a
I've
Blue
got.
wallet or a simple Bitcoin wallet.
I don't know if I've got any. I switched to Moon, so I don't.
Moon are implementing the LNURL stuff, but it's tricky for them because they're completely non-custodial.
I've got
Pass here.
my Blue wallet's only got 9,019 sats in it.
Well, actually, this is a penny, so this should totally work.
No. If it's a penny, let me do it.
Here we go. Try it. What have you got? Blue wallet?
Yeah.
Yeah, try it.
Hold on. I like Blue wallet. I like both of them actually. I like them all. Right. Here we go.
Do you get a link? You should get a link back.
Legend.LNbits.
Yeah, click on it.
Oh no, it did that.
Oh yeah, open the.
Done.
Yeah,
Hey.
has it got a link you can open? Open the link.
Yeah.
Has it got a number on there?
Yeah.
What's it say?
2289.
So if you click on the hashtag, what does it say?
2289.
So what happened was when we set that payment, it randomly generated a 4-digit PIN, encrypted it, put it inside that QR code. When you scanned it, you passed the encrypted PIN to the server. The server then decrypted it when you made the payment and sent it back as a receipt.
Why did we need
that's your
that
proof
PIN?
of payment because that POS is offline. So there's no way for the person who's using that POS to tell whether you've actually made the payment. You could have like a fake version of Blue Wallet and actually the payment didn't go through and you just faked it.
What wallet does this go to? Where are those sats now?
Right, so that's an interesting question.
Oh my god, this is one of my favorite shows ever.
Danny, on the screen, can you open that link up which I sent you? Is that possible?
When did you put Jerome Powell up there?
Today.
We've
fixed inflation, hasn't he?
So we've retired Peter Schiff.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is going to kind of
Hold on, is Schiff gone forever?
Probably not forever.
with LNbits, you kind of bookmark your wallet. It's like an Insta wallet type thing in the browser. So whoever's watching this now, they could scribble down the wallet and steal our funds. So that's not the best security for us.
Where can they steal it from?
If they took the URL there, they could get to this wallet. So basically, you have like a unique.
So there's no login.
No, not currently. It's funny because people ask for it when they first start using LNbits. And then we're like, no, you just bookmark the page. It's like an Insta wallet. Just don't show anyone the URL.
But could I have this automatically just pay out to another wallet?
Yeah. So we have this. So we have an extension. Very good question. We have an extension which does exactly that. So basically, if we refresh this.
Do you know why this is called, Danny?
Oh, yeah, there you are.
You
so you see your POS payment there for 51 sats.
sats.
See, so what this connects to the LNURL device. This is where you can make the POS or you can make the ATM, and you can also set a profit margin as well.
What do you mean profit margin?
So you can overcharge. So that invoice, there was an extra 2% added on. So you can do that if you want to be a bit, as a merchant, if you want to rip your customers off a little bit.
Let me tell you why this is interesting, right? So
it gets more interesting, but okay.
In terms of the football, so everything right now, I'm using the football club as a lens for how we use Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So we have people who come to the game who just want to pay, with their pounds. Either we've got 3 ways of paying: cash, card, Bitcoin.
Nice.
And we've got multiple payment points. We've got online pre-game, at the gate when you turn up, in the clubhouse, and the other day we ran a barbecue with Danny, right? So if you want to buy online at the moment and say you want to buy merchandise, it's great because Shopify is linked with OpenNode. It just all does it nicely for us. But if you want to buy match tickets, the company we work with has no integration. There's no possibility. So what we'd have to do is a separate ticket. It's just annoying. We're better off saying just buy on the day. In the clubhouse, we have Zettel as our POS for buying beers and stuff. And we also have an iPad with OpenNode already set up if you want to buy your beers or stuff with that. But what we have is 2 other points where we collect money. At the gate, when people arrive, they want to buy a ticket. If they don't have a ticket, they want to buy a ticket, but they want to buy a program. And we also have the barbecue. Both of those points, we can't accept Bitcoin because we haven't got it set up. We just have the Zettel. This would just make it super easy.
Well, then also as well, so there's another function in here. So when I was in El Salvador, I wanted to I had dollars, I ran out of sats. I wanted to be able to go into a shop. And one of those shops, they've accumulated some sats, haven't they? And I wanted to be able to buy the sats back. So this also works as a meat bag ATM. But in lots of parts of the world, if you actually go to an ATM in somewhere like Nigeria or something, an ATM would be a dude with a machine and you do the card payment there and then. So this is kind of quite standard in lots of parts of the developing world or parts of the world without a more established financial systems. So you'll see, so basically there's 4 options you can have on here. We've got 2 of them running at the moment. We've got the POS. If I go to the ATM, okay, it'll ask me to put in a PIN. I'm going to put in a super secret PIN, 878787. Don't tell anyone. And now I'm going to put in an amount, so 2 pence, okay? And now watch this. Look out, because it's offline. So I just press the little hashtag, boom, it's generated the withdrawal link. So now you can scan that with your Blue Wallet and you'll get 2 pence worth of Bitcoin.
How if it's online?
It's offline.
So how if it's offline?
It's constructed an LN Euro withdraw using, so the LN Euro device there, you'll see that it has a secret key. So it's able, this is the software, basically the server, which is, so if you scan that.
Create invoice.
Oh yeah, that's that, yeah, weird Blue Wallet UI. Not one of these Lightning wallets is perfect. But actually, simple Bitcoin wallet is probably the most perfect Lightning wallet in my mind.
Simple
Bitcoin wallet, yeah. If you've got an Android, it works really well.
By the way, things are slow here because our internet's slow. Done. ATM, I love that.
Look, there you go.
There you are, and there you see the payment on there. So I just sold you 2 pence worth of, so what you could have, you could say, well, you haven't got any sats. Oh, I'll tell you what, buy £10 worth of sats. And did you know if you pay for your beer in there with sats, you get a discount? And then just suffer the loss. But then people have that experience of accumulating getting some Bitcoin, spending some Bitcoin.
Well, what I really like the idea is, I like the idea of this being at the club.
Yeah, just on the door. People put coins in. Yeah.
And I would probably, can you just close it a second? I almost want to have like maybe I'd just print something out that says, download a wallet.
Oh yeah.
Which we'd recommend a wallet, download it, put in your keys, scan it, and done. And people, this is like a fun way of someone to get their first sats.
Do you want to describe what it looks like for people listening?
Yeah, sorry. Anyone who's listening and can't see this, firstly, you should go and check out the YouTube. But basically, Ben brought in something that is about the size of a shoebox, but it's like one of those old cases with the old like number locks on. You remember it? Kind of also looks like a bomb. But the front of it is like an old slot machine. So, you know, like it's basically like a gumball machine.
Yeah.
And so you can put your coins in and then there's a little screen. What's the red button for?
The red button, because
cancel.
You can plug this in.
Yeah.
But it's very low powered. So if you have I have a 12-volt battery, battery pack, you can use that. So you can swap the plug for the battery pack, and then this will just go to sleep every 3 minutes of being idle, and then you can just go up to it and press the button, and it will wake it up. And when it's idle, the 12-volt battery will last years. And that's not an exaggeration. It will last years until someone presses that little button to wake it up.
I think we should have that at the club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think we should do? Well, it depends if you're available. But the next meetup we have at the club for a home game, if you can, I think it would be cool if you came down and did some demos and we put that out there and we set all this up.
Well, as I said, there's a version as well which has the bill acceptor. So if you want a bill acceptor as well, it will use the same software, and the software just recognizes that there's a bill acceptor plugged in and says, "Oh, you want to use a bill acceptor?" You can actually use it.
What do you mean? Sorry, bill acceptor.
Like, yes, you can put notes in.
Oh, wow, definitely.
And I've actually, because I like being able to put this in any box. So Amazon, they have these Amazon Basics, what's it called? Safe. You can buy from Amazon. And I bought it and I thought it was going to be about this big. And then the thing arrived and it's like this big. So it's kind of quite a big safe, but it's big black metal safe. But actually, the metal's thin enough that I could, angle grind a few holes out of it, stick a screen in there, stick a coin mech, stick the bill acceptor. And then you have like an ATM. And it's like the safe itself, I think, costs 60 quid.
Oh, I want that. I'll pay for that.
Yeah. So
and I want our logo on it.
So you're talking for all the electronics and the safe. So you're talking like probably 200 quid to make the whole thing.
I want it.
It's mad, isn't it?
To have it there.
Now, let me show you something else.
Okay.
So if you go to TPO, so basically if you go to manage extensions on here.
So just a quick question. I have to provide the liquidity for it.
Yeah.
So on a Saturday, I'd probably want to put a few £100 of sats in so people can use this.
Well, yeah, what you can do is you can get a bit circular, can't you? So if you're accepting Bitcoin payments, you can have the ATM pull from the same wallet. And then the ATM will just not work if it runs out of funds.
Huh. So where do I go, sorry?
So if you go to manage extensions.
Yep.
And then you'll see all the extensions we have. We've got all sorts of craziness. We've got offline, all sorts of craziness. Scrub is the one which we won't click on it, but this is the kind of the one you were talking about here, which is where you can give it an LN Euro Pay or an LN address, and then any money which goes into this wallet will just go or automatically get pushed out to that.
Yeah.
This is an acronym I'm trying to push, which is Scrub. So it's like a semi-custodial remittance, something Bitcoin. If you go to TPOS and then open that one. I've already set up a point of sale for you here. This is a software point of sale now. So if you click on the little thing.
Yep.
Wait, sorry, where does it get its rate that it's selling the sats for?
It happens. So we have in LNbits, it pulls the exchange rate from like several different sources and then averages it.
Okay.
So it's pretty accurate.
And if I wanted to, could I add like, say, a transaction fee?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so there's a 10% for the ATM on that POS there.
That's steep, dude.
Well, people are buying Bitcoin. It's fine.
Yeah.
So this here is a completely air-gapped software point of sale. So if you click on the little thing where it says bar and it's got that little icon thing, if you click on that, so if you scan that with your wallet, with your phone, in fact, I'll do it right now. I'll scan this just with a regular normal QR code scanner. The idea is that you can print this out and put it on your bar or in your cafe or whatever and say, if anyone wants to come in and pay in Bitcoin, scan this QR code. I haven't got a signal, so it's not going to work. Scan this QR code and you'll get this point of sale basically on your phone, and it's like mobile ready and everything. So if you close that, we've got a great contributor actually recently who's started contributing to LNbits, and he's added some nice functionality into this. So if you press like a penny or 2 pennies or whatever, press OK. All right, and it says, would you like to leave a tip? So give a 10% tip. And then there we are. If you pay that, Peter. This is just my elaborate way of taking all your sats.
I like it, mate. You came all the way to Bedford to take 74 sats off me.
It's a very elaborate scam. So it's important to remember this is a demo server which I'm running. And it's also custodial. So the funds are on our Lightning node. But the idea is that with LNbits, you can just run it yourself on your own node pretty easy. If you've got like an Umbrella or Raspberry Blitz or something.
Okay.
Paid?
It's scanning. It's the internet connection. So, okay. So one thing with all this is great, but my accountant will be having a heart attack.
Well, so we have, this is funny because we were talking about Jörg Platzer earlier from Room 77. There we are. So that paid.
So now if I go back in here.
Yeah. And if you go to what Bitcoin did, you should see oh no, wait, no, it's the bed FC.
Ah, right. Oh, sorry.
And he's got the bed FC. So there's the sats, and then the tips have gone into a different wallet. Because when you set up the point of sale, you can send the tips to a different wallet.
So that could go to the barman.
Could go to the barman and his wallet.
Or can it be split?
So if you go to manage extensions, basically any question you have, we have an answer for. So if you go to manage extensions, and if you go to split payments, where is it? Down there. If you enable that, this gets me really interesting, for particularly like the side of me, which is interesting cooperatives and things. If you go down, scroll down again, and then open up split payments. In here is kind of the UI. I think we need to work on the UI, but basically we've got that source wallet. See where it says bed FC? Yeah. And then we need to work on this UI, right? But we will. You can add in the wallet ID, give it an alias, and then say, okay, 50% of whatever goes into bed FC is now going to go to this wallet.
No, so what I'm thinking, what I would want with this, we've got a squad of 20 players. Yeah. Just put all 20 players in. And then any tips just splits between the team.
Flipping ace. Yeah, do it. That'd be amazing.
Okay.
If you go to manage extensions again, so that's the split. And that's something. So basically, with LNbits, it's a free and open source project. We've all been, contributing a few hours here, a few hours there.
Yeah.
And then obviously, because it's so great and people like it, we've had a lot of VC interest over it. And they've been like, okay, can you make a business? Can you make something? Can we employ the people working on this to work on it full time? And then we're like, yeah, but what we don't want to do is that classic thing with the free and open source project, which is good, where they have like an enterprise version and then like a community version of the software, and it sucks. It's like a crappy version and a good version, which you have to pay for.
Yeah, but then you feel obliged to work on the...
Yeah, because you go for the big VC round, and then you're like, oh, and you promise all these things and all this functionality, and yes, it will be paid, blah, blah, blah. So we were talking to VCs for probably about 1.5 years about LNbits and how we could like sync it in and do something with it. And eventually I went, because Max from Hivemind, he's a pretty progressive dude. I like him. So I went to him directly and I'm just like, dude, like undervalue us, just give us enough money to employ like 5 of the developers working on LNbits right now, full time. Because currently we're just doing a few hours here and there. And then just see what happens in a year and a half. We're not going to guarantee we're going to produce any return on investment. We're not going to
give us money.
But it was basically like, we probably will. So we have things we're going to make. So we're going to make the shop where we sell the gizmos. And we're also going to have software as a service. So you'll be able to get to LNbits.com and then just like pay some sats. And then we have a Kubernetes cluster and you can just go and spin up an LNbits. like a throwaway LNbits, which is really interesting because you connect to your Tor server and do some fun stuff.
Do you know, it's making me think, we had Obi in the other day to talk about Fedimint.
Yeah.
And
Obi.
we had a long conversation about VCs investing in Bitcoin. And, the traditional VC investment model is, 10 investments, 8 go to shit, a couple do okay, but one should be kind of home run. And, but the thing we're doing with Bitcoin, if you're investing in Bitcoin companies, well, your 2 in 10 has to also outperform just holding Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Which is quite a challenge. So you've got to outperform Bitcoin.
No. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, and he forwarded me to that Daniel, how do you say it? Krawitz. Yeah, his article on Nakamoto Institute, which was speculative altruism. And I read about it, and he said a lot of Bitcoin investment really needs to be considered as altruism that may have a payback.
Well, no. Yeah. So it's twofold, because you may get investment, you may get a return back on your investment for the immediate thing which you're investing in. But what you are doing is you're building out the infrastructure. So
you're making your Bitcoin worth more.
And then you make your Bitcoin worth more. So you're increasing the value of your own bags. So over the past couple of months, where I think 4 people and now 5 people have been working on LNbits full time, it's amazing. The repo's being managed properly, and we built out a massive testing suite to make it, because we're still beta, so we want to come out of beta, right? We built the so if you go to on-chain wallet here, open on-chain wallet. Okay, so Vlad Stan, who's one of our developers, I originally got in contact with him because he worked on Bitcoin.js, and I was like, I had a DIY hardware wallet, and I'm like, I wanted him to build to help me build a front end UI, like a Trezor type thing, but web based. He did loads of work towards it, and this is a couple of years ago, and I just didn't do that extra 10% to have the thing finished. It was called the Little Bowser, the second version of my Bowser wallet thing. So when Max gave us the investment to employ some LNbits developers, I get in contact with Vlad Stan, and I'm like, dude, can we make this thing now? Can we make these cheap DIY hardware wallets, and then in a way where we can use a browser with it? And he was like, yeah, cool. And he's between things. So he joined us. And honestly, the things he's built, and this dude's a genius. So now we have this DIY hardware wallet. It uses the same microcontroller as the POS, which is this TT-Go, LilyGo T-Display, but it's an ESP32 based microcontroller. We've got a nice little 3D printed box for it. This is like 8-9 quid to make this, okay? And it uses web serial. So if I plug this into the computer, and WebSerial works on Chrome, Chromium. I think it works on Brave as well. And then if you click on, you see where the little Bluetooth symbol is there? Mm-hmm. If you click on that, serial port not, So if you're using Chrome or something, it would come up with a little box where you could select this device if it was plugged in via USB. And then, don't worry trying to get it up, it'd be too faffy. And then you can log in, and this has a private key on, so you can sign, this thing can generate, so if you go to new payment, we don't need to be plugged in for this. We can put in a Bitcoin address there. We can put in an amount in Satoshis, and then we can generate a partially signed Bitcoin transaction, which then we can send over the wire web serial to our hardware device, and then we can sign on our hardware device. I mean, it hasn't got a HSM. It's not got a secure chip on. It's not your Trezor, but it's a hardware wallet which is cheap enough for me to be able to give to someone, a cafe or a bar or something, and say, this is better than you storing your Bitcoin on a phone or on an exchange. And it's good for 10,000 quid or something, but don't go any higher than that. If you're going to go any higher than that, use something with a secure chip. But then I
think even at 10,000 quid, you want a secure chip, right?
Well, do you know what? In saying that, supply chain attacks are huge, and it scares me. I don't want to FUD the world of hardware wallets, because I love all those projects, and I love Trezor. It's brilliant. But the factory which is making those hardware wallets, they know that they're hardware wallets, and that's an issue. Because and they know there's probably going to be a substantial sum of money on those hardware wallets. So I'm constantly waiting for a supply chain attack to come to fruition.
How many people in that factory have to collude to fuck with the hardware wallet?
I mean, it's whoever's boxing the things up, just slips in a corrupted hardware wallet, which they made. And then, I know they have they test these things.
Yeah, but
they
again,
randomly do samples and test them. But
then how many have you got to slip in? If they're making millions of these, how many?
But when do you activate the back door, and how many of them are going to? And it's something you just don't know. It's an attack vector. But these don't have the supply chain attack. And also
why not? You're the supply chain.
Well, no, I mean, if I was selling these from a shop, yeah, of course. But if you do it how you're supposed to, DIY. You could buy this from Amazon, AliExpress, wherever, and the company which is selling them, they're just like, it's like another Arduino enthusiast. They have no idea that you're anything related to Bitcoin. So that's just not doxing your address, your delivery address for your hardware wallet is we've seen with the Ledger stuff, is a good thing. So anyway, so you can then, so the idea is, right, so we haven't got it here, but we've got another extension being built by this guy called DNI. Now, I think most European, US cafe bar owners, when they accept Bitcoin payments, they want it as a way to try and accumulate Bitcoin, right? Which if you do on Lightning kind of sucks because you haven't got anywhere to spend it and you really want it in cold storage. So what we have is when you mix these extensions together, right? So an extension which is coming out very soon is a swap extension. So it can swap from Lightning to on-chain. So what you can do is set a threshold in a wallet. Say when it gets to like 50 quid or 100 quid in this wallet, the Satoshi equivalent, it will loop out using this extension. So it will just be listening and watching that wallet. So when it gets to 100 quid, it will loop out to on-chain. Then they can manage it from their, $10 hardware wallet, or if they want, they could put an on-chain address from Kraken or some exchange or whatever and have the funds go there. But I think it's funny because one of the first things which was built on Lightning was by a cloud, it was async strike actually, it's called Strike. And that was simply that. Lightning payments go in, they concatenate together, and then you loop out to on-chain. And it was such a great product, and it's such a great thing. So anyway, so we're going to have an extension which basically does that. And when you mix it with the point-of-sale extension, the hardware wallet, this hardware wallet extension as well, it becomes a very powerful kind of like tool set you can use.
Let me ask you something completely different. Moon Wallet, you don't know whether you're using Lightning or base chain when you make payments.
Yeah.
How the fuck does that work?
I don't know. It's wizardry.
Yeah.
I mean, Moon Wallet's incredible, and they're trying to tackle the obvious problem is that Lightning doesn't work properly.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I think they're solving another problem is you're having to think about two networks, base chain and Lightning. So when we ran the meetup, we covered Bitcoin and then we covered the Lightning network. And if you don't know any of this, that's a massive leap to go, from one to the other. It's like, right, I've got this Bitcoin center there. Oh, but I need to also use a Lightning wallet to do quick pay. Like to get rid of that and just not have to think about it. You have Bitcoin. I think that's a great solution.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's never underestimate how much people can scale up. Like think about the early internet and when people didn't know what email was and whatever else, and it all sounded very complicated. And then people scale up and they learn all these things. So one day people understand and be able to operate and use daily public key crypto. It will happen. Of course it will happen.
Yeah, but I think if you compare it to the internet, there's two types of people. There are some people who want Bitcoin who are going to want to have a wallet and a phone, and they're going to go and they just want to go pay and forget about it. And like the internet, there are some people who are going to not run a Mac or are not going to run a PC. They're going to build their own computer. They're going to understand how it works and dig into it and care about all this. There's a variety of people.
And this is the kind of the point. Just to kind of go back on ourselves a little bit. This is kind of the point of why, as Bitcoiners, they shouldn't be scared or blacklist this area of custodialship. Because there are people within a community who are a bit more technically competent and they're more likely to set up that server.
Yeah.
You make it as easy as possible so as many people can be that person. But for the immediate and near-term future, it's certainly going to be that there's technically competent people are going to be the ones managing these nodes, and also the ones with resources, because these nodes cost quite a lot of money to run, manage channels and all that sort of stuff.
Well, there is a lot to think about. So if I'm running, let's compare it back to running the football club, right? When we take payments on our website, all that happens is people select their card or PayPal, and the money ends up in our bank account.
Yeah.
Okay, and when people come to the ground and they buy a beer, they scan Zettel, and it ends up in our bank account. That's all that we have to think about. And then we have this pool of money in our bank account.
And this is like the Rube Goldberg machine of all these crazy things happening in order for that process to happen.
Yeah, but like with this, we've got like OpenNode and there's sats on OpenNode. And then we also then put some of the sats back into our hardware wallet, our cold storage, but we can leave some in a float, which is on a hardware wallet. And then if we accept this, we have sats here. Like there's a lot of disparate things that can be going on with Bitcoin. There always is. And I assume most people, when they want to, like, when they think about how much Bitcoin they own, they just don't just say, oh, I've got 12 Bitcoin. They go, right, I've got 2 Bitcoin there. I've got on that hardware wallet, I've got, another Bitcoin on my phone. I've got 100,000 sats in that. Like there's a lot of disparate sources.
This is why I quite like the idea of like scrub solutions, where you're just looping out to on-chain when it gets to a certain amount.
I like that.
Because then, I mean, if you can just use somebody else's service and, your risk profile is 100 quid, which is going into that wallet. And I mean, that's fine. Maybe you have to pay it or 2% transaction fee for them giving you that service. So that's why I quite like it for a way of onboarding for people. But I think that people will become accustomed to having cold storage Bitcoin, which is secure on chain. Not saying Lightning isn't secure. And then you have payments Bitcoin, which is your checking account, which you're going to use for payments. So your savings account and your checkings account.
And your Lightning wallet.
Yeah, well, this is your Lightning wallet, is your checking account.
So I think there's almost three. I think you have your cold storage on chain.
Yeah.
Then you have your hardware wallet on chain.
I don't know. A cold storage, I'm saying hardware wallet.
So I say multi-sig. So I think you have your multi-sig.
Oh, well, that's going another level.
Well, so if you think in terms of a company that might have, a cafe is maybe different. Say there's a company that is dealing 6-7 figures of Bitcoin. Then
a multi-sig with a Trezor with a secure module, plus a device which doesn't have the supply chain attack is the secret sauce right there.
I mean, you've got to be going some to supply chain attack, Ledger, Trezor, and Cold Card on a.
How many?
And a phone.
I don't know. They're all using these different. A few of them using different secure modules, but I would like to have an off-the-shelf device.
That's what I mean.
Because then there's no supply. I know there's no supply chain attack, and I can do a multi-sig. But I think this is the most important thing, is that you have different kind of like payment journeys for different users.
Yeah.
For someone in the UK, Europe, whatever, they want to accumulate Bitcoin, have it go to their Kraken account, have it go to a hardware wallet. For someone in El Salvador, they want maybe something a bit more circular.
Yeah.
And then maybe we just use that Scrub extension just to send it to their Lightning wallet they've got on their phone, and then just use it, when they're going out and about. So you have to kind of like cater. And I think this is actually why it's been great that we've had all this uptake from countries which haven't got more established financial systems, because we're having to then build and address some of the problems with this technology for users like that, such as, it being incredibly expensive to run a Lightning node, for example. And for the average El Salvadorian, like they don't have access to anything else than something which is custodial. Because they can't do their own non-custodial Lightning payments. It's too expensive, too hard, and they haven't got the internet coverage or whatever.
You came out with quite a controversial statement a moment ago. You just said Lightning Network doesn't work.
So the promise...
We're going to have to talk about that.
The promise and the assumption is that everybody can build a node. So like my gizmos, for example.
I'm going to move this just because I want to see your face.
Like my gizmos, for example, the first gizmo I made was I went to a Lightning hack day and someone had made a sweep machine which had a full Bitcoin node in it and a Lightning node. And then you would scan a QR code, you go to a website, you'd find a QR, pay the QR code, and then you could get it to spit out sweets.
That was like my McDonald's experience in El Salvador.
I thought McDonald's experience was quite good in El Salvador.
I thought Starbucks was way better.
Really?
Yeah, because Starbucks...
I went and just paid for a coffee. did you go to the do-it-yourself thing?
So I don't know if it's changed, but the day I went the day it happened, and went into Starbucks, and they just gave me popped up a phone, scanned and done. Whereas with McDonald's, what was the issue? They popped up, so I did it on the screen, and then it popped up a QR code. I can't remember what the issue was. Was it that it gave me a Lightning address and I had a base chain, or it gave me a base chain address and I had a Lightning, and it didn't tell me which it was, and I was assuming I was going to pay with Lightning. Something was just not as smooth. I can't remember what it was.
When I was there for the conference, I went to McDonald's, and again, a shout out to OpenNode. I was relieved when I went there because I saw the mess with Athena and the Shiva wallet stuff, and I was relieved when I went out to McDonald's, and then I saw this OpenNode thing, and then the OpenNode Lightning invoice pop up, and then I paid it, and it went pretty well. Like my wallet was actually slow. I did a little demo video, but my wallet ran slow, so it made it look slow. But actually, the OpenNode side was fast and it worked. But it made me confident that, and I think and this is why they're such a great company. Like from the beginning of Lightning being set up, like OpenNode was there, and it was offering a very professional service. So if you had a big corporate customer like a McDonald's who suddenly wanted to use Bitcoin or Lightning, they could speak to this company, speak to OpenNode, and then OpenNode could build them a solution, which they did, I thought, in El Salvador. And maybe I was there, maybe I did it a few days after you, and they ironed out some bugs or something.
You know what? It might have been my own user error. Probably was. No.
Yeah, but it was a testament to that's the best thing about OpenNode. It's so stable, and if you have someone who doesn't care about KYC and they just want to accumulate some sats and then for it to go out to a bank account or on chain, then that's a great solution to push people, point people towards.
Well, OpenNode have done everything to help us with the football club, and they have been brilliant. And we do it as a way for the club to accumulate sats, because when we're selling merchandise, I reckon one in 15 orders is people paying with Bitcoin. And so they have the option where you can choose to say keep 50% in fiat and 50% in Bitcoin. It's such a low number of orders. We just keep all our Bitcoin orders in Bitcoin. We just leave them there. In terms of structure, though, what we do have a multi-sig cold storage with the keys distributed amongst different people. We then have what we call the float, which is just a single hardware wallet, which carries a small amount of Bitcoin, but that is our float for, if we have to pay, like we had a ref who wanted to be paid in Bitcoin recently, so to pay him, or just that small amount. And then what we have is all the different payment channels in Bitcoin that go into OpenNode. The OpenNode stuff goes into the float. Once the float hits a certain threshold, we put that into cold storage.
Sweet.
And so we're gradually accumulating Bitcoin as a club. And but there is just these different things to keep like an eye on, and
But I feel I need to go back to qualifying my statement about Lightning being broken. So the promise was that everything would have a Lightning node in, like that point of sale would have a Lightning node in. Everything would have Lightning nodes in, and it would all be non-custodial. It'd be great, and we'd easily be able to set up these channels, and we'd have great network connectivity. And the reality is we have a lot of failed payments in Lightning. Obviously, opening a channel requires an on-chain transaction, which is quite expensive, and it's tricky to manage and balance. There's some great autopilot solutions which are being worked on, which are going to be very helpful towards CL Boss is a good one for C Lightning. It's a fantastic plugin. You just give it on chain and it just goes and makes Lightning channels. That's great. That sort of work needs to continue. And also in the future, we'll have things like channel factories where we can have like multiple channels set up on single transactions. That's cool too. And I think that comes out of the Taproot stuff. But this concept that everything would have a Lightning node in, it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't, I'm not sure. And I think that what's interesting is from the ground, for people actually using and developing solutions on Lightning, like the simple Bitcoin wallet people, they come up with solutions. And one of them, which I think is great, is hosted channels. So do you know how a hosted channel works?
No, but I could probably guess from the title. Basically,
you're using somebody else's liquidity in their channel. But what's cool about it, so it's a custodial solution, right? But what's cool about it, rather than it being like a wallet Satoshi where, and again, hats off to Wallet Satoshi, has done great things for Lightning, but it is fully custodial, and they could just like lie about your balance amount on there. There's nothing you can really do about it. With a hosted channel, you have like cryptographic proof if someone tries to rip you off. So I can spin up a simple Bitcoin wallet, and I think hosted channels will become quite a thing in Lightning because it kind of patches it up and makes it work how it was originally promised to work, or how a lot of us thought it would work. You can open simple Bitcoin wallet. It'll automatically go and get a hosted channel. It takes seconds, right? It goes and gets a hosted channel. Maybe it could get a hosted channel from someone like LNbits, some big operator. They can get a fee for this. They can charge for this service. They can get some yield on their liquidity in their channels. And they can actually use it, I think, as well to like balance their own channel somehow. Anyway, so you go get a hosted channel. So it gives you instant, like 1 million Satoshis inbound liquidity. So you can start receiving payments. If LNbits rip you off, you have a cryptographic proof, which you can take publicly and say, look, I have proof this node ripped me off, which you don't have when it comes to other custodial solutions. And I think that's a really nice, I think it's like, it's appreciating there's nuance in all these topics. So custodianship, yes, there's very bad forms of it, which people should really not do. But then there's better forms of it. It's a very gray area. It's a gray spectrum. And another thing hosted channels do very well is they can, because you can, if you make a hosted channel public, the trust which you're putting into the hosted channel provide, if someone's using it for routing payments, they don't have to put that trust in there. If it doesn't work, the payment doesn't go through. But what it means is we can have like many more channels without those on-chain transactions. So it's a very interesting technology. I think we're going to talk about, if we have time, maybe stable coins and stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that. Just so a couple of things that have been on my mind a long time with it, and kind of the circle I was never able to square early on was that, if people needed to open up channels to be able to use the Lightning network, or if you go into, if on-chain, say if it's on-chain fees were up to, say, £5 or something at that point, and you might be in jurisdictions where people, that's all the Bitcoin they have. And so there's certain people who just will need to only live on Lightning, which we know in certain jurisdictions and maybe for certain periods of times. But how does that person use Bitcoin in a way where their funds are protected, yet they never have any on-chain Bitcoin? How does that happen? Can it happen?
I think with Lightning, it's a hot wallet.
Yeah.
So the wallet needs to be connected. It needs to be online. You can't take those Lightning funds, put them into cold storage. Some of the people Bitcoin is whatever we want it to be and whatever it needs whatever the world needs it to be. And if there's any problem we have, like the scaling problem, like boof, now we have Lightning Network and we have a whole bunch of new problems, but we have something which does work and you can't do these microtransactions. I think that as a problem will be addressed as a way, how do people accumulate and secure long-term cold storage Bitcoin if they haven't got enough to be able to pay the fee, the on-chain fee? Maybe the block reward should be lifted, and maybe we should breach the 21 million.
That's a controversial one.
Maybe we should have.
I'll come back to that one. No, it is on my mind because one that I always I spend a lot of time recently trying to challenge myself as like, could we be wrong? Could I be wrong? I always think it's like a really important question you have to ask yourself, and I don't think it's asked enough. What are the consequences of this? Theoretically, I completely buy into Bitcoin, that a fixed limit based money that can take us away from the ills of money printing. That I'm 100% convinced on, right? I am 100% convinced on the idea that having peer-to-peer censorship resistant payments is great for the world. Okay. What I'm not 100% aware of or understand is the consequences. What are the unknown consequences of this? What does this mean?
Well, the economic consequences of having some arbitrary number and having that as just the amount of Bitcoin, which will always never exist. I think there's there should never be dogma and anything said about Bitcoin which is certain, because Bitcoin will and can be anything that the people want it to be. The users want it to be collectively.
Shall I finish my thought? Just and then we can go. So I'm always saying, what if I'm wrong? Where can we be wrong? And if we go to hyper Bitcoinization, the one thing I'm not convinced of yet is, does that create a more equal world or a less equal world economically? And so my thoughts behind it is, will Western nations accumulate the most Bitcoin first? And will maybe some nations who arrive late accumulate less, but still need to come onto like Bitcoin because everyone else is having it? And will we have the Bitcoin haves and haves not, those who can afford to use the base chain and those who can't? I'm not saying what will happen. I just don't know, and I'm perfectly conscious and aware of it. It's something I just think about a lot. Do you understand what I'm wrestling with? The idea is that I'm convinced Bitcoin is better for everyone.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems with wealth disparity in this world is that control over money is in the hands of a few people who then enrich themselves. And I think ultimately the system's rigged, and that is a big problem. And I think Bitcoin solves that problem. But we do print money. Like, we create Bitcoins every time we mine a block. Like, we're printing money, and we choose to print. It's predictable, and we choose to print it at a certain rate. But there's no reason why we couldn't change that rate at some point in the near future.
Again, we come back to that.
It's a very controversial. What I want to say is that if you define Bitcoin, this always makes me cringe when people say they'll only ever be 21 million. It's the soundest money the world has ever had. It's the hardest money the world has ever had. It incentivizes mining and renewables. There's these statements which ideologically, so basically when you have like culture or a phenomenon, a collection of people who share an ideology, within that ideology you'll have rhetoric. So you'll have a bunch of statements which are maybe true about that thing at any point in time. And then people will take that rhetoric to the next level where they'll identify themselves to that rhetoric, and it'll be like, well, this is a truth, this is a truth, this is a truth. And then if anything challenges that truth, they feel it very personally, like it's challenging them personally, and they have that amygdala response of, you're turning my universe upside down, which is why if you, Peter Todd recently tweeted out about this thing about maybe we should have an ongoing, if we want a zero rate of inflation on Bitcoin, which will probably be in the best interest of most users, so most users will probably vote for it in the future. If we want a zero rate of inflation on Bitcoin, then we could have a constant Bitcoin reward for miners. And actually, I mean, when we lose the mining reward, maybe it will be within the interests and for the security of Bitcoin for that mining reward to be continued. So I think game theoretically is a very sound argument that this concept that there'll only ever be 21 million it's just not true. Like you can't
Well, it
say
might
that.
be.
It might be, but it's more it doesn't mean that you should close yourself off to the debate that, well, what happens when we get to that point when when we're not rewarding miners? If we're still on proof of works, we might not be.
No, I get it, because what you're basically saying is you should not be your ideas.
Yeah.
Your ideas and you should be separate, because when you are your ideas, that has consequences that come with it. That means you defend them unequivocally.
Well,
and you won't challenge yourself.
No, there is. So that I think there is something good about that. So if you think about the maximalist, right, the archetype Bitcoin maximalist, they do a very good job at talking down all these scams by being so, strong-willed and inspirational, and like this is, they're flying that flag and they're.
But do they prevent scams?
Well, I mean, so they do. I think they do push a lot of good talent in the wrong direction away from Bitcoin sometimes, because it can be a little bit too obnoxious. But there's two different approaches to any argument, and there's two different approaches to any sort of statement, and that's rhetoric. This thing's true, everything else is bad and wrong, right? And it's very binary. Or there's something maybe a little bit more nuanced, which is a dialectic, where you have a thesis, I have an antithesis, and then we have a synthesis. So there's probably somewhere middle ground we can find in the middle. And I think what you're saying about constantly questioning yourself and your own ideas and thinking, am I wrong? Am I the bad guy? I think it's the best thing to do. I mean, like historically, the common sense of any age has been proven to be wrong later on. Like women are the property of men, for one. That was
the earth is flat.
The earth is flat. These were common. This was like, of course, that's true. And then eventually they're challenged.
I have to challenge for a different reason, though, because it's, people, I don't think people realize, well, maybe because I talk about it all the time, they do, but me and Danny talk about this stuff a lot. Like what is this podcast? What is its role? What is its responsibility? What is our responsibility? And I think there is an expectation sometimes from people that this is a product for promoting Bitcoin and should cheerlead Bitcoin unequivocally. And therefore, if I have Udi, how do you say his name? Wertheimer on the show, I am anti-Bitcoin and I should be punished for it, right? Our approach is different. Our approach is, we like Bitcoin, we support Bitcoin, but every idea should be challenged, because we can't damage Bitcoin, but conversations can improve it. So it's a real fine balance in that, because we hold Bitcoin, we support Bitcoin, but we don't always just want to be like cheerleaders. We want to challenge. We want to have a variety of voices. We want you on here, Ben, and we want Anita, and we want Stefan Livera, and we want Marty, and we want Malader, we want left, right, middle, hardcore maxis, we want everyone, so we can get the collective knowledge so people can find their best path with this.
And you also, you build the best value proposition, which you can then take out to the rest of the world, because you've actually explored that ideology and those ideas thoroughly, and you have good arguments. So when you turn around to people and say, Bitcoin incentivizes renewables, mining with renewables, of course it does, goes where the energy is cheapest. And then if you haven't really thought about that statement, someone will just turn around and say, well, surely it incentivizes fossil fuels because it's better base load. You can spin up in Wales, I could spin up a little coal power plant, and I can mine some Bitcoin, and I don't have to sell the energy back to the grid. So surely all the arguments you're making for renewables, you could also make for fossil fuels, and actually they're probably stronger for fossil fuels. And then suddenly this thing which you were so sure about, because within your group, that rhetoric was like, yeah, and you're backing each other up, and you're in your little, it's the audience capture thing, and you're, yeah, that's true. This is a truth. Suddenly when you take it out to the rest of the world and then say it, they just tear it to pieces quite easily, because you haven't really thought through that statement. Such as the 21 million thing, and this is why you need dissident thinking in Bitcoin. This is why you need people challenging. Then someone like Peter Todd, is very well respected in our community, obviously. I was very relieved that he kind of has broached this question about the 21 million thing.
I mean, it needs somebody like him to do it.
And honestly, I'm playing devil's advocate. Like I think that there's two versions of Bitcoin which could exist. There's one where you have zero rate inflation, that could be very useful, and then there's one where you have you just keep the 21 million cap, and you can build a whole bunch of cool stuff on Bitcoin in order to have stable mediums of exchange for people like El Salvador dollar and whatever, the Welsh pound. Like you can build those monies.
The Welsh pound.
Well,
that's a shit coin.
No, he doesn't say much.
Well, I mean, so the Bank of England,
it's a sheep coin.
The Bank of England, not the Bank of Britain, the Bank of England, right? Okay. Do they have our best interests at heart? Look at the Bristol pound was a great phenomenon. I always think technology was terrible, but culturally, people really associate themselves to it. We know when people talk about, I think maybe we're probably running out of time, but when people
just keep going.
When people talk about these stable mediums of exchange for areas in which they need it. So in El Salvador, it's like, okay, now we can have this stable USD on blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, cool. But they don't want to use the USD. Like it's an imperialist power, which has subjugated them and it's caused a lot of problems for Central America and South America. And they don't feel great about a lot of the US stuff. So they probably want their own currency. They want to be their own sovereign currency producer, like some of these other big powers. But they want it to be stable and they want it to be corruption resistant and also resistant to attack from the imperialist power. So then how do you build a stable? So how does El Salvador build a stable coin, which is decentralized enough that it can't be corrupted from outside or within, but then also can reach consensus in something like an economic crisis or to create some fiscal stimulus if they want to do that in their own country. If they want to do the things, if they want soft currency functions, which with developed economies and as sovereign currency producers in our own country, we can do, like with the British pound or whatever, or Iceland can do, or countries which produce their own currency. And I think this is the most fascinating thing about the renewable debate. Actually, is very early on Bitcoin Talk, somebody posted that Bitcoin is thermodynamically perverse, and then Satoshi answered with, "I think, not I know, but I think, similar to gold mining, that Bitcoin has a whole bunch of commodity uses, and when we've explored all those thoroughly, the things which Bitcoin will replace will make it a net positive." And that's where I think too. So I'm ecologically minded. I think Bitcoin has a horrible carbon footprint. Currently, the way we're using it, me sending value to you, whatever. But I think that, with all Taproot and everything else we can do on Bitcoin now, that when countries have their stable mediums of exchange built on top of Bitcoin, and when you're replacing all the central banks and all this banking infrastructure, and you're replacing Visa and everything else, I think that it'll be a net positive. Just no matter what we're mining it on, we could be mining it on coal.
Well, that's why it's important to get to a place where we have good discussion and good rhetoric, which we do and we don't at the moment. Certain topics maybe are off topic, or so I was just really fucking disappointed what happened with Matt Corallo.
I don't know last week.
So Matt Corallo,
he's always getting in trouble.
Well, he's tweeted something about shitcoins, right? What was it? He just said,
Just pull it up.
Yeah, just pull it up. Now, again, I have close to zero interest in shitcoins.
Same, yeah.
The only one I have a mild interest in, I don't call it shitcoin, actually, is Monero.
Same.
And I think there's valid reasons. Some people will call you a shitcoin scammer for caring about it. But I want to know what's going on. And if at any point, like I had Vitalik on the show because it was at a point where it was worthwhile having a debate of Bitcoin versus Ethereum. And probably 70% of people who listen to the show probably own a shitcoin of some kind. I have just no interest in the shitcoins. But I want to hear what Matt Corallo says about it because I like Matt and I respect him.
Clever dude.
He's a clever dude. And I want to hear it and then I'm going to dismiss it and get on with my life.
Yeah.
Okay. But what was concerning for me and quite sinister is the follow-up to him having the statement were personal attacks on his career history. People are digging up the fact that there was an inflation bug that he was involved in creating. Now, let's just be honest about that. Bugs happen. That's why you have people checking code, yada, yada. But that was brought up and other things were brought up.
It's like step up, review the code, contribute, get involved in building on Bitcoin core. If you're that unhappy with the inflation bug, like partly the reason that happened was there's just literally there weren't enough people with their eyes on the code.
Yeah.
And get involved.
But my point
is
break down his arguments, don't character assassinate him.
Yeah.
Because that has a couple of consequences. You might have people quit Bitcoin because that would be pushed to work on other things. Even Thingy van der Laan said, in reply to that, said, yeah, it might be time for me to move on soon.
Yeah, classic.
And I think, like, I know of other devs who are just sick of it. They're just sick of the
bully boy mob situation.
Yeah. So, and the second consequence is other people might be scared to even have a conversation, say, well, I want to discuss this, but I don't want to have my reputation destroyed. Yeah. I think this is not good. And this isn't about saying toxic Bitcoiners are mean. And this is just about saying we should be able to discuss things and we should be able to have honest and open debate and we should be able to critique things and then move on. If we can't do that, what do we have? We have this like very strict circle of ideas that we can't moved from. And now, having gone back and read a lot of Nakamoto Institute and old Bitcoin talk forums, they were tough debates, but they were debates.
Yeah, like Satoshi, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe it's just because we're European and we're a bit different, although you've got some toxic European people. But like, I just think having the discussion is what needs to happen. I actually disagree on... So the thing about the 21 million, I disagree with inflation right now, constant inflation. But I want to hear the arguments for it and against it and why it might happen. I want to know. It's relevant to me. I'm a Bitcoin holder. But what does it mean? So let's have the discussion. But I would say...
And I would like to say as well, the caveat, I'm not advocating for this. I'm just saying that this is a discussion, very interesting. I personally think it's more likely to happen in the future because...
Security.
It's game theoretically the users would want it to happen. It'll be hard because consensus is super duper hard on Bitcoin, obviously. So maybe that will be the reason it doesn't happen.
Well, it is one of those things, if it does happen, there will be a chain split.
Yeah. I mean, this is really interesting thing, actually. So when I posted because I posted a tweet about this about 2 years ago, and the common reaction was, well, I'll sell all my Bitcoin immediately. And then I was like, yeah, that's kind of the point. Like, the reason why we have inflation is to loosen people's grip on an asset, so to create fiscal stimulus and to create aggregate demand and all that sort of stuff. And if that's what the users of Bitcoin want it to do, that's what they'll have it do, despite how you may feel about Bitcoin right now and what it is. But that, the mob mentality with rhetoric and ideology is a problem. And it does, I mean, that's why a lot of you are admiring, have a sticker on my laptop and it says, Bitcoin 9 danker. And I got it from a hacker event. And it was, people had posted these stickers everywhere. It's a hacker event. And they posted these Bitcoin 9 danker stickers. These German hackers clearly don't like Bitcoin. And on all the bins, they posted these stickers saying, put your Bitcoin here. And I'm like, man, this is such a shame. These people, they haven't looked at the technology. They've looked at the sort of cultural association over culture. Right, and then they've stopped there. They've got greed. It's all this stuff I don't like. They haven't actually looked at the deeply into the technology. And it's a shame. Like I think if we were more welcoming as users or as a community, whatever, then we would pull in more talent. But then I do also think that the maximalist type does have does hold a purpose for defending against the shitcoin stuff.
You say that, but does it stop shitcoin? Like, does it? The one thing I want to ask myself is the amount of time spent on that. Is that a net good, or if all that time, because you see these people all day long, bash, shitcoin this, shitcoin that, you're a scammer.
Angry
if they took I look at the time I'm on Twitter sometimes, I think, if I spent that time learning a language, would that improve my life? So if they spend that time creating educational materials and teaching about the Bitcoin, would that have a stronger net impact for individuals in Bitcoin?
It's the direct action thing, which is in the Cypherpunk manifesto. Cypherpunks write code rather than spend all your time just doing hot air, like actually build something or make something or contribute in some way. But
quickly, where did Max go?
He's just out there.
Max, quick question. We've been joined by Max Hillerbrand here. This is a cool time. Quick question. Yes or no?
What's up?
Right, just quick. Bitcoin inflation, absolutely not. Fuck off, never discuss it. Have the discussion because it could be possible.
Ultimately, the actual quantity of the money supply doesn't matter, right? As long as it's divisible enough, which is the case in Bitcoin. And then the question is, what do we want with that inflation money? Where should it go, right? What's the fiscal stimulus? And allegedly, that's to improve the security budget of Bitcoin, right? To make it more expensive to reorg blocks and such. However, the block subsidy doesn't do that, right? The attacker gets the block subsidy as well, right? It's not a mining fee or transactional mining fee where you only get paid if you actually include the transaction in a block. So if you're censoring a transaction, you don't get the fee of that transaction. But you do get the block rewards, the issuance, the inflation, so to say. So that's why I think that increasing the issuance rate doesn't increase the security budget of Bitcoin.
The quick answer I wanted.
Nice. Very nice.
I got to say, just for me, this is like, as somebody from Bedford who's trying to make Bedford a thing, I'm super proud to have so many Bitcoiners here and who've made the journey here. It's like, I feel actually a little bit emotional about it, but no, thank you.
I would like to, so I'm just going to say about the stable medium of exchange thing, because I think this is a very relevant topic for having people in somewhere like El Salvador on subsistence wages where they can't have crazy price volatility when it comes to making payments and using it for payments technology. When I started talking about that more openly, about how we need stable mediums of exchange for all these different countries, I had so many legit developer Bitcoiners who are very well respected within the community, I won't even mention names, like reach out to me like quietly and say, this is my proposal, which I've been working on for a year, which tackles this problem. And some of them were hardcore cypherpunk types who you wouldn't think would be working on solving such a problem. You know, they think there would be more binary in their thinking. And that's a shame that like there's a bunch of people working on these. And I think now it's come to the surface with the standard sats and then the stable sats thing by Galloy and then the Taro stuff from Lightning Labs. But as another topic, like stable mediums of exchange on Bitcoin, actually, I think that thankfully has become less of a controversy.
It should not be controversial. It should not be controversial.
Let's build the best payments experience we could possibly build for people.
If you think Bitcoin is the only and immediate answer for everybody in the world right now, you're a fucking moron. You've got no idea how people live and survive, how they use money. Go out there, go travel the world, go to developed, underdeveloped countries, meet a wide range of people. If you think Bitcoin solves every problem because it's got a fixed monetary supply and there's it's censorship resistant, you're a fucking idiot. And it really pisses me off that people say, oh, they just need Bitcoin. No, they need stable money.
One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin.
Yeah, they need just speak to Alex Gladstein. I keep saying it. Follow him, follow what he says. Some people just need a stable form of money that isn't being debased. That's what they need. They need to know that $100 they slaved away to work and earn that week is going to buy their family $100 of food at the end of the week. They don't need to be saving in Bitcoin and hoping it goes up and it doesn't. It's fucking bullshit. It pisses me off because it's, these people who talk about being anti-human, that is anti-human. It's moronic. Yes, I buy your long-term thesis about stable money with Bitcoin. I buy it. Fine. But your short-term solutions using Bitcoin are moronic. It pisses me off. Sorry, I'm ranting.
But it's great that the work which is being done, and actually I think what we'll see emerge in one of these countries, which is under the imperialist yoke, such as El Salvador or maybe even Wales, is a local currency which is culturally relevant to the country where it emerges from, and it will probably outcompete like the stability of something like the US dollar or the euro. It'll be like a collection of fiat, a collection of assets. And it'll create an incredibly stable peg somehow. I think that's what will happen. Like we'll use this amazing free and open source tool set to build something which can outcompete the stability of a military backed fiat currency. And it will happen in a Central African Republic or something. Suddenly they've got one of the most stable mediums of exchange on the planet.
Aren't they shitcoiners? Are they a shitcoin country?
Well, wherever it may happen, I'm sure it'll happen somewhere where they haven't got central bank infrastructure.
They are the ones, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah. I do want to ask you about Fedimint, because we had Obi in, who I think is an amazing human being. What are your thoughts on it? It's
great. I mean, Chaumin eCash, if you can get it to work, federated Chaumin eCash is brilliant work. There's some issues which, it's not a given that it will work. Like it's a complicated thing to build, which is why, considering the level of cryptographers we have in Bitcoin, it hasn't already been built. I mean, David Chalmer about eCash, whenever it was, in the early 90s or something. So, and himself has looked at Bitcoin and didn't build it on Bitcoin. So I think it's a hard thing to build, but if they can build it, and if the federations can not be subject to a Sybil attack, that's my worry, particularly if you're talking about a country where resources are quite scarce. This is actually an interesting idea. Is the federation then more likely to become corrupt and have some sort of Sybil attack or whatever? Or is that more likely to happen in a country which has more resources? I can't really work it out. But anyway, I think it's like, there's still trust there. You're trusting a federation, right? And in some cases, like with the hoster channel thing, personally, I might prefer just to trust LNbits because he's a big channel. He makes loads of yield. He doesn't want the bad press of me being ripped off. So for a immediate solution for addressing the payment stuff, that might make more sense. And the standard sats is a great project. This is made by some of the people who've been involved in the Simple Bitcoin wallet, and they have a Simple Bitcoin wallet fork, in fact. And And the idea is they have a node, and then you have a plugin for the node, and then that plugin does high frequency hedging with Collider, I think. And what it can do is it can keep a peg, so it can keep a stable USD or Euro peg or collection of assets or fiat. And then you can get a hosted channel, so like a fiat hosted channel or this token hosted channel, and you can have it in your Lightning wallet, and it works with it's a Lightning payment essentially. I think that's a really interesting solution as well. So I think there's going to be a number of I think in the immediate term, we're going to have market-based solutions like what Gallo is, because stable sats is very similar to standard sats, the way they're addressing this problem. So you're going to have like market-based solutions, which I think Alex Gladstein was kind of talking about as well fairly recently. And then I think long-term, you'll have some stuff which is more algorithmic. And then talking about the shitcoin space, MakerDAO and DAI, it's pretty cool. Like it's been working for a while, and they've kept that stable peg, and they have this weird vault thing, and they use arbitrage and stuff to keep a peg. And I think that, to me, like if somewhere like El Salvador could have some vault, which you send Bitcoin to, the control over the vault is federated via geographical regions in El Salvador, so different political, affiliations, whatever. And then 50% that, maybe 50% industry, the industry of the country. Basically just decentralized enough that it's corruption resistant, but not so decentralized that if they need some stimulus and economic disaster, they're not able to do that, as use those soft currency functions. I think if you can have this vault, which you chuck Bitcoin into and it spits out El Salvador dollars, and that keeps a peg to a bunch of fiat or some assets, I think that's probably a really good solution, which I want to see happen.
Yeah, I love it.
And the MakerDAO stuff, they've kind of proved that with the DAI that so far it's still working, and actually keeps getting more stable.
Yeah.
But isn't that just because they're just buying USDC now?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's so this is one of the legit Bitcoiners who I talked about, who like reached out and said, this is my proposal to the solution. One of the legit Bitcoiners was like, yeah, MakerDAO, we're doing some pretty cool things.
Right.
We'll probably build something like that one day.
Was it Francis Pouliot?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me it was all in Ethereum. So
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that guy for a while, actually. He's got some energy, hasn't he? So I think, in the immediate term, we'll have these market-based solutions. Then we'll have more complicated algorithmic solutions, and also this Fedimint, Chilmin eCash stuff. What does worry me about the eCash thing is yet another, okay, so you've got your Lightning wallet, you've got your on-chain wallet, and this is your Fedimint Chilmin eCash wallet, and then users are going to be like, what am I using here? But I mean, it's in good hands. There's great people working on the project. Justin Moon, he's working on it. Obi's there, and he's great.
Yeah, it's a great team.
If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be that lot. They're going to be able to make this thing a reality. And if they do, then it'll be great. And actually, I spoke to Obi because I was like, oh no, it's like LNbits now defunct, and because we're using obviously on Lightning, aren't we? A lot of our stuff is Bolt 11 based, but the invoicing system they're going to use, it's very similar to Bot 11. It will be very similar to Bot 11.
I mean, I'm nodding like I know. I have no idea.
Just, basically like I request an invoice from you and then I pay it, right? So we could actually have a Chilmin eCash wallet as a funding source for an LNbits install, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and actually we could even make an extension, which is then part of the federation maybe as well. So there's certainly some cool things which can be built off the back of it. I just wish them luck because it's a hard
big
thing
project.
to build.
Yeah. But they're going for it. Like we had him here a couple of days ago, and I was very impressed with him. So fingers crossed. I'd like to get you down.
And also, I would like to say that I'm mostly playing devil's advocate for a lot of these topics. Like I'm just, throwing the conversation out there, and I'm not
shitcoin apologist, inflation apologist.
I'm not saying breach 21 million, go buy DAI.
Firstly, tell people where to go to find out more about LNbits and what you're doing.
Yeah, so if you go to LNbits.com, you can go there, and there's links to the repos there, and then also for the hardware stuff, that's mostly on my repo. So we have two Telegram groups. We've got the LNbits Telegram group, and then we have a MakerBits Telegram group, just t.me/MakerBits. That's where we talk about a lot of the hardware stuff. And it's great to see people like someone like Staticus getting involved. And I think I said earlier in the show that right now he's doing a workshop for that point of sale in Germany somewhere. And it's so cool. And And then in the LNbits Telegram group there, it's very good. We have like 1,000 people there, and they're constantly helping each other with any issues they have, or if any noobs come in and they can't install it. And people are so patient. Like I see them answering the same question again and again and again. But honestly, it's the community is incredible. And it wouldn't be the software it is without the community. So if you go to LNbits.com, there's links to the Legend software, which is the Python version, which we've got here, which we're trying to get out beta. And we also have this Go version for the Go programs out there called Infinity. And that does extensions kind of differently. But it's a very interesting piece of software, which we're all very excited about and want to kind of work on as well. First, we need to get Legend out of beta, fully functional, fully stable, and then do some things as well, like extrapolate extensions out so you have that kind of WordPress experience. And then we'll concentrate as well on this other Infinity project. But yeah, there's some great things being built, and a big shout out to all the developers working on LNbits. So Callie, he's been managing the repo amazingly. He's built out this massive testing suite and he's putting all these great commits. DNI did the looping out extension. Vlad Stan with the hardware wallet. Tal was with us from the beginning. He made the point of sale extension. Black Coffee, who does Anchor Hodl, the shop Anchor Hodl here, he's going to be managing the LNbits shop where we're going to be selling like some of the gizmos and stuff. But ultimately, like, buy the bits yourself from AliExpress, build it yourself. We're going to make it as simple as possible, like Lego, to put the thing together. Currently, let's say with the hardware projects, for example, you'll have to download Arduino, the IDE, and you'll have to like install some stuff, and then you'll have to flash the thing. But soon you'll be able to go into LNbits, plug in the device, and then just flash the software from LNbits onto the device. So you could just get the off-the-shelf hardware, plug it in, press a button, it just pushes the binary onto the device. The binary will have a checksum, so you can verify that it's not being corrupted, and you can go check the checksum against the binary on the repo for the project, for like the point of sale, for example. But I think that becomes really interesting then when people don't actually have to. They can get an off-the-shelf device, they can build a hardware wallet, they can build an ATM, they can build a point of sale, and it doesn't require them like downloading any IDEs or anything or installing anything, or it's just a case of like click, I'll flash it.
Proper cypherpunk.
Yeah, cypherpunks write code, don't they? They build stuff, so you have to keep building the things.
Well, listen, I'd love to get you down for our next meetup at the club. I want to buy one of the big cash.
I've got it, man.
ATMs.
I mean, my partner will be super happy that this massive things, it will be out of our dining room, because currently it's just in the middle of our dining room.
Right, I want that, and I want, I think, 3 of these, and give me an invoice, we'll pay for it. Come down, run the session with us. Come and see how it all works. We'll do it together. I'd love to have you down there.
Very nice.
Hopefully you can make the date work, and yeah, this would be awesome, man. But really appreciate you, Ben. This is a great conversation.
And thank you, Peter. Thank you for all the work you're doing. It's great.
Yeah, anything we can do for you in the future, let me know, but keep crushing, man.
Cool. Cheers.
Cheers.